Oh, 1 second, please. Don't worry, we'll circle back to this later. JJ, this system doesn't work. It is so confusing. Every few days, I would run up to my guide and enthusiastically yell this to her. Getting a response of, well, okay, what's the problem? Over my years in Launchpad, I have spent countless hours finding the issues with systems and working to fix them. Through the Management 102 graduation badge, I was given the opportunity to look into this further. Last summer, I helped JJ create a system Launchpad would use in session 1 to design all the systems. Once done, my job would be going around and helping the studio map them out. I remember so vividly brainstorming ideas, understanding what has and hasn't worked in the past, and figuring out what our studio needs now to improve. I remember one day conversing with the Freedom Level group, each of us listing off past frustrations, then laughing because of the incredibly specific rules that caused many confusing situations. Like, for example, Socratics. They needed to be completed 1 week before given, then sent to be looked over the Monday in advance, then approved 2 days beforehand, along with someone having to remind people of all these jobs, even during breaks, which, spoiler alert, no one could remember to do. I wonder why. Then, halfway through the year, I gamified launches to review all these systems. These games included Kahoot, Jeopardy, and one Amberly and I created based on the TV show Squid Games. That last one was hilarious and chaotic. The studio was split into teams, and there were multiple stations all around Launchpad. It was a race to see which group could finish them fastest and most accurately. Teams that weren't playing would crowd around the other tables and cheer other groups on. I felt so good knowing I was helping Launchpad to review, learn, and understand these systems while simultaneously having high energy and not taking things too seriously. At this point, I knew system work was one of my natural skills and passions. I had worked with both heroes and guides in Launchpad and successfully improved my studio. But how did I get here? Well, let's take a look at my journey up until this point. In March of 2023, I found K-pop. I was instantly captivated by the performance aspect. I remember the very first video I ever watched. After the short intro showing all the members, there was a wide shot that showed the elaborate stage with the band's name, creative lights, artsy windows, and fancy curtains, and the floor was covered in a layer of fog. Then it zooms in, and you see the members standing at their starting formations in different colored suits. The song begins playing, and they start singing and dancing. When I saw this, I was mesmerized. All 8 members were so perfectly in sync, and everyone did all the moves exactly the same. Even though there were no markings on the floor telling them where to stand, their formations were absolutely perfect. That meant that they had spent many hours practicing and perfecting this. I was in awe. I could not stop watching. In total, I replayed that one video 15 times. Sorry, Mom, I bet that drove you crazy. I eventually found other artists and observed their performances. I always caught sight of members doing a move slightly different than all the others, or when everyone was doing a movement at different times. I was bothered when a member would be hidden in a formation, or when one person had to move super far to get to their next spot. I always had this deep urge to fix all these little inconsistencies. I wished I could just go up to those groups, tell them what they were doing wrong, and have them change it right then and there. I don't know why they didn't just call me to help. I would have done a great job. Well, that kind of sounds like I wanted to fix all the systems and processes in those performances. I guess I am pretty system-oriented. I mean, it's kind of ridiculous. I want to use system improvement when it comes to K-pop dances? That's interesting. Okay. But during this time, I still didn't know what I was truly good at. What set me apart from others? How was I supposed to figure that out? One Friday at gymnastics, my coach Mandy was fixing a formation in our routine. She would say someone's name, then show them to their new spot. I had already been moved and had nothing to do, so I stood there watching her. I noticed she moved 2 people to spots that didn't make sense at all. So I pointed it out, saying, "Wait, Mandy, shouldn't Chloe and Milena switch spots? Because they can't get to their next formation from there." She did not know what I was talking about and looked at me with the most perplexed face ever. I realized she was not going to understand what I was saying, so I said, never mind. I was just going to let her try out the formations and see that it didn't work. Well, what do you know? 5 minutes later, she tried out the formations, and they did not work. I was very proud of myself in that moment. I spotted something before my coach did, and she has been a coach for over 25 years. It took willpower to bite my tongue and refrain from saying, "See, I told you so." Similar situations happen almost on a daily basis. Even though I had all these systems and processes, I had no clue what my end goal was, what I wanted my career to be. I had followed all the acting processes, mini NGA badges, career tests, apprenticeships, and quests, but I still didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. Where was I supposed to go from there? How would I actually find my calling? In session 7 of my junior year, everything changed. I knew I was starting the NGA process in just a few short months. One blazing hot summer day, I'd just come home from a long day of school, where I spent the whole time doing system improvement in my studio, while simultaneously avoiding the schoolwork I actually had to get done. Whoops. I got food, then went to my mom's office to talk about my day and all the random things that popped into my head. We started on funny things that happened, then got to friends, somehow ending up on the topic of college. One of the first things my mom said to me was, "Well, would you want to do system work in the future?" I looked at her like she was crazy. I replied, "What do you mean, do system work?" She replied, "You could do something like supply chain management or maybe industrial engineering." My immediate response was, "Wait, are you saying that I could do exactly what I've been doing in Launchpad for the past few years as a career?" She said, "Yeah." I was in shock. My mind was completely blown. I didn't even know that was a possibility. This was my aha moment, when everything clicked. Through all my passions, I could finally see the one thing that threaded them all together. The intense joy and sense of belonging I experienced at that moment were unlike anything I'd ever felt before. Our conversation soon ended, and I slowly walked upstairs, still in shock. I sat at the edge of my bed, the sun in my face, and let out the biggest, happiest smile. This is truly it. This is who I am. That smile didn't go away for the rest of the day. So, what's the one thing all these stories have in common? System improvement. That is my stake in the ground. That is what I promise and I'm committed to pursuing. To show my dedication, I promise that by the end of the summer, I will earn my Lean Six Sigma white and yellow belts. These, as the most basic belts, will provide me with the foundations to improve processes by understanding how to make them faster, more accurate, and more reliable. To break into system improvement, I need credentials. It is necessary to show I can successfully complete projects from start to finish. To aid in this, my goal is to complete my Lean Six Sigma green belt by the end of this calendar year. This will take roughly 3 to 6 months and cost around $1,000. Now, as my community, I need your help in finding me a mentor and assisting me in paying for this course. With my target one day being to do consulting and process improvement, where I can collaborate, use project management, and mentor others while helping organizations with their systems and processes, I need your support to make this dream a reality. In return, I commit to coming back to Acton and investing in young learners through mentorships and apprenticeships, in the same way that you, my community, have rallied around me throughout my journey here. I know it's hard to imagine, but I've always been particular. Systems, routines, and order have flowed through my veins for as long as I can remember. Believe it or not, there is only one correct outfit to wear as a 6-year-old. My Alice in Wonderland t-shirt, a specific pair of pants, and my bear claw Crocs. Grr! Which happen to be quite similar to the ones I'm currently wearing. Which I do have to say, they're a lot more comfortable. I drove my parents insane, needing these clothes to be washed at the end of every day so I could freshly wear them the next morning, throwing a fit if I couldn't wear my favorite outfit. Oh, and don't worry, I had many other quirks too. My strawberries had to be cut in a very precise way. First, the green stem cut off. Then, the white part in the center removed. And lastly, them cut up into very, very thin slices. Now, who knows why it was essential for little Bridget to have her strawberries cut this way? I sure don't. But these were once mandatory on a daily basis. Looking back, it's hard to believe I once didn't know system work was my calling, because it was sprinkled in all the little moments throughout my life. Though I am no longer the young kid who was so meticulous and would wear only my bear claw Crocs, that is who I am at my core. It is my strength, my driving force in life, a natural gift that will guide me throughout my journey. And you know what? I actually do agree with little Bridget. That is the best way to cut strawberries. Thank you.